But this is one of the first items that he put on the agenda when he took over as minister, and is of course something that illustrates the whole point of being both Minister of International Development and the Environment. If we are going to succeed in one thing, I think everything has to do with the rainforest and climate, to do with biodiversity and climate. I think this is the one thing that in this first month as we have been in office has been the agenda that we have discussed the most. Norway is advocating a long-term goal limiting the increase in global mean temperature to 2 degrees. And after the last IPCC report on Saturday, we realized how ambitious this goal really is. I remember that it's not very many years ago, I think I had discussion with also some prominent guests here today, if we should go for the 2 centigrade goal, because was it ambitious enough, or will we save the Greenlandic ice cap with the 2 centigrade goal? And I think one of the toughest thing to realize with the last IPCC report was that there were actually no recommendation on they pointed at no possible way how to actually try to reduce emissions as much as to reach a lower or a higher goal than the 2 centigrades. So even though we might experience dangerous climate change with a temperature rise of between 2 and 2.4 centigrade, there are actually no alternative or more ambitious goal. And I think also I think the urgency has become more and more clear. If we are going to reach the goal, we have to peak the emissions. The global emissions of climate have to peak in 2015. That is 7 years ahead. 7 years on a national term for planning is short time. 7 years on the global agenda is extremely short time. And those of us who have worked with environmental question for some years knows that when we are going to reduce emissions, the turning point and the first 2, 3, 4 to 10% are the hardest one to reach, measure. Deforestation in developing countries contributes to 20% of our global CO2 emissions. That's a lot. Today, as emissions from deforestation in the developing countries are not regulated under the Kyoto mechanisms and will not be a part of the CDM. But I think this makes a window for, I think, from now until 2012 to put up what you have been discussing as a global fund, to see if it's possible to finance such a mechanism that we could, I think the aim of this initiative, when I heard of it the first time, actually to stop all deforestation, I thought, wow, is it possible? But otherwise I thought we could not have any less as an ambition as to stop this. We have to discuss what to do after 2012. And I think there are different positions. Brazil, a voluntary fund. Papua New Guinea, the carbon credit for reduced deforestation. I think we have to have both this on the agenda. I think that also there is important for us to talk about what's happening in Indonesia. The deforestation in Indonesia is even higher than in Brazil. And what will be the most effective measures there? I think we are prepared to go to have closer discussion with Brazil. I think that will be the first. I think that will be the first country where it's possible to achieve such a measure. I think it's also very interesting that it will come from, might be able to come some step further in the Bali conference. I think very many people will be disappointed after Bali, I think it's fair to say, because it won't be an agreement. We have to explain people that this is the starting point, and we hope for an agreement earliest in Copenhagen in 2029. But an initiative on deforestation might be one of the things that will have a starting point in Bali.